movie review. Hood movie review. Hood movie review. Watch us on YouTube.
Is this thing on? With all due respect, sir, suck my dick. This is another episode of Hood Movie Review. And today you got your host, of course, the bad guy himself. We got Kenny and we got... Guess it's just me. Well, today we're reviewing the movie How High. And this episode of the show, like I said, it's just me today. And if you've ever seen Hood Movie Review before, basically we take your favorite and not so favorite hood movies and we review them. So with Hood Movie Review today, we usually start off the pull it up real quick. We usually start off the show with what we think of the soundtrack. And the soundtrack out of 5, we gotta give out of 5. I am giving it a 3.75. It wasn't the greatest soundtrack, but there was like the one DMX song I can't stand. Why do good girls like bang out? Like that song is ass. It's terrible. And yeah, it was that song. They had Cypress Hill's terrible. I'm sorry. Sorry to be that guy, but Cypress Hill is awful. But yeah. So I gotta So I gave it a 3.75. The rest of it wasn't that bad. There's a couple of Method Man and Redman songs they had playing in there. They had NWA playing, a couple other Ice Cube songs. It was just, I was like, okay, they're doing a little something with it. That's why I only gave it 3.75, not a full 5. Like I said, there was a couple misses in there. And I think they did the soundtrack too. Like they were in charge of the soundtrack too. So y'all know better. So let me go get this review real quick. So the movie starts and Silas, played by Method Man, is a street pharmacist, aka a weed dealer. And Ivory comes over. Basically, he's about to be on a blind date with a girl he met on chickenheads.com. Excuse me. And he had some boring Kevin Costner movies he wanted to watch and wants to be high for it. Because he showed up the picture with the big booty. And he was like, "This here's over here," and he was like, "Damn, okay, I see you." Like, and when he seen him, he had a unibrow hair. Like, it wasn't like a really unibrow; it was like a little patch he had right here and some dreads. And back in this time, I guess dreads were nasty because the way he reacted to him having dreads, he was like, "You have dreads?" And then his picture, he's pretty much trying to tell him you catfished her. And he was like, "Nah, I just got dreads and I got this." I guess he's on a journey trying to seek Buddha, and he's like, "That's my mark of Buddha right here." So so at this point, Ivory's like, "Look, you got this little weed thing you got going. Like, he's like, you can really mix some chemicals up in the lab. He's like, what you got to do is you got to go to college, because in college you can be able to use this and be able to do something with yourself." He said, "You got to take the THCs. That's what they call." So stupid. It's what they call like their SATs on this one. Trying to be funny. It stands for testing for higher credentials. It was ridiculous. And because like I said, he sees potential in him. So he's like, you gotta take the THCs, you're gonna be straight. And he's like, "I got your back. Even if I get hit by a bus or my hair catches on fire and I fall out of a window, I got your back." And he's like, "Okay." So now we cut to Jamal, played by Redman. He's a slacker, and he gets embarrassed for being a pothead by his mom and her in front of her friends too. She's just roasting him. She was like, "Wash your filthy ass." He's like, "Is that all, mama?" So she whoops him, trying to get him focused. She's like, "You're going to be the first person to ever go to college in this family." And she's like, "I want to put your picture right underneath so I want to put your picture of your degree underneath Jesus, his brother's prison barbershop certificate, and his sister's weave master degree." And like I said, it's just ignorance. It's ignorant comedy. You can tell it's kind of ignorant, but it is what it is. Ivory goes on the date. And the girl's disgusted. Like, so I finally goes on a date. The girl's disgusted by him. She's like, "Ugh," because he's pulling up, but he got the unibrow, he's got the dreads, and she's like, "Ugh." He's like, "It's my mark of Buddha." She's like, "That's scared mark of Buddha." And Ivory gets salty. He's like, "No." He's like, "I'm gonna take you off my buddy list, bitch." I think this is back when I had MySpace. He's like, "I'm gonna kick you off my MySpace and all their social media apps." So he gets salty. He's watching the movie by himself. Oh no, he's not watching the movie. My fault. He's watching this commercial. Pork chops are chunky. Tastes so good. Make it never feel funky. And like I said, he's smoking. He's cracking up, laughing. He passes out, and he passes out with the weed in his hand, and the lit part touches his dreads, and it sets him all the way on fire. Like, and he's screaming, runs, falls out the window, just like you said. You know, he falls out the window, and he gets hit by a bus. And Silas is like, "Damn, that's my boy Ivory." And he takes his ashes, which is wild. He takes his ashes, and he's grinding them up, and he adds it to his weed plant. He even calls it Ivory, like just for him. He's, I'm gonna call it Ivory, just my man's right here, which is still wild. Like, this is low key some serial killer shit. To take your friend and grind him up and smoke him. I don't know. That's just some Jeffrey Dahmer type shit. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of fucked up. So the day of the THCs, Silas is in his car getting ready to smoke, and Jamal in his car, he's also getting ready to smoke. Jamal's rolling up on the dash. He farts, and he's like, "Ooh, that stink." Whatever. He turns the air on, but the air is so strong it blows the weed out the car. He's like, "No!" He's like freaking out. Meanwhile, Silas realizes I don't have any papers on me, so he's like, "Ah!" And they're both freaking out. And they both look at each other. Silas rolls down his window. He's like, "It's like, got blunt?" Jamal says, "Got weed?" Then they start kicking after that. They introduce each other, and they're like, "Hey, I'm Silas. I'm Jamal." He's like, "Man," he's like, you smoking to calm your nerves?" And he was like, "Shoot, I figured if I study high, take the test high, get high scores." And they're smoking, and they see Ivory in the back seat. And he's like, "You know what?" He's like, "I can help y'all with these tests." He's like, "I've been hanging out with these historical figures, and even the guy that made the test. So y'all gonna pass." He's like, to the point where every single college in the United States is gonna want you. So they're like, okay. So after the test scores, they get pretty much talked to by the lady. Like, she's, I guess, I don't know, like the head of whoever's like taking the test. I don't know what her job name is, but she was just pretty much like, "Hey, so I'm looking at your test scores here. You got perfect. Nobody's ever done that. And the fact that y'all two did that either means y'all cheated, or y'all, or like y'all were just a dime. What she say? 1 in a billion, something like that." And then she was like, "You know what? Y'all had different tests, so y'all are good to go." And I'm like, "Bet." They're like, "Bet." So she's like, "You can go to any college in the United States." So at this point, they're like, "Okay, like while this is going on, Harvard they want more diversity. They're like, we need more colored people here." And the guy named Dean Kane, he goes, "We just got an Eskimo that's in here." And they were like, "Bro, we're not counting him." And he's like, "We want them 2 kids." So Mr. Huntley's like, "We need them 2 kids. I don't know where they never said where they were from." He's like, "We just need them 2 kids that did good on them tests, that did got perfect scores on the test." He's like, "I saw the picture, like mugshots." And one dude's high, like left man's looking high, red man's like flicking off the camera. And he's like, "We need to get them." And he's like, "Okay, we'll get them, whatever." So Silas and Jamal get to Harvard, and they act up damn near immediately. And like, so they hit they hit statues. They fucking up as soon as they get in there. So they get to Harvard, and they get judged by this guy named Bart. He's the captain of the rowing team, and he's just being racist. Like, literally, like they did nothing wrong. Why even say they did nothing wrong? They came in and hitting statues, but they didn't know that. He asked him where the financial aids office was, and he goes, "Oh, sorry," but he just started being racist. And he's like, never knew. What did he say? "I never had someone that would need to go there." And they're like, "Bro, like, we're just asking, like, we're not even doing nothing crazy." So then he just starts being racist with him, like, "Come on, bro," and all this, like, he starts being real racist with him. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna whoop your ass then." So then he was like, "Who are you for real?" And he's like, "I'm Bart. I'm the captain of the rowing team." He was like, "Shit, I'm about to do it too. So if you can do it, I can do it, pretty much." So he ends up joining the team while Silas is trying to get at his girl the whole time. Like, the whole time they arguing, he's like, "Shit, I'm gonna see what's up with his girl." So he's talking to her. So they get to Dean Cain's class, and they come in making a scene because they have a black teacher. They're like, "Oh, we got a black teacher." They're like, "Oh," so they getting hyped. And Dean Cain, he's like, he ignores them because they coming in like it's the middle of the lesson, coming in ratchet, and he's just like, he goes back to teaching, and then they can take offense. They're like, "Oh, so that's how you feel?" So they start roasting him, and they lighten him up to the point the camera zooming in on him. He's like freaking out. And one of my favorite scenes, he's going in. He's like, "Dynamite Disco Daddy devastating." He was like, "Don Cornelius with a haircut." He's just going in on this man. And they end up getting like I said, they roasting him. And there's a guy named Jeffrey. He's like a part of this fucking this frat. He's doing all this nasty stuff. They got him drinking toilet water, and they roasted him too. So then when he gets up, he saw it. He's like, "I'm trying to learn here." So he gets up, and they start pretending to be him. And they start going off on Dean Cain. So Dean Cain kicks him out of the class. So like I said, they come in and be a disruption. So to be fair, like I said, they're supposed to come in there to learn. That was the point. They're supposed to come in there to learn. They got into Harvard, but they come in there fucking up immediately. And now we get to the point where a volunteer named Gerald, who's pretty much like I don't even want to call him like a flashlight. I don't even want to call him a flashlight cop. He's just someone that's like a narc for like. So he's like I say, he's a volunteer named Gerald. He's writing this one dude up because I'm going to write you a citation. Dude doesn't respect him. He's like, "Bro, go on with that." It's that one guy from fucking Soul Men, and I think he was in Accepted. He's that ugly dude with the glasses and the long curly afro. He's a weird looking dude. So they try to so Gerald tried to stop. He stops Jamal and Silas, and he's like, "You guys look suspicious." Whatever. He's like, "You guys got the drugs," and he's like, "Shoot." He's like, "We looking for drugs too," and they look like he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, so like I said, I love that scene. Then the little back and forth. So now we see Jeffrey again, and there's an Asian dude named Twan in their dorm, and Jamal and Silas show up, and they're like, "Shoot, this is gonna be our dorm now," and they show up with a mute named I Need Money, and this mute. They're like, "Why is his name I Need Money?" He said, "Shit." He gave me a slip of paper that said "I need money." No, he said, "Yeah." He wrote a slip of paper. "I need money." I said, "Shit, me too." He said, "We making it ever since." And then he's like, "Where y'all about to hang?" He's like, "Where y'all about to room him at?" And he was like, "Harvard, Louisville House, 2nd floor, right on the couch." So I love that scene. That's one of my favorite lines of the movie. I like every scene I Need Money was in for if we're gonna be real. And they have a meeting with Dean Cain, and they piss him off, dropping Cheetos on an 18th century hand-woven tapestry is what he called it. He's like, "I know the bitch that make these real. That's on Canal Street." Like he's ignorant with it. Another thing, his little trivia. There really wasn't much trivia when I looked this movie up. The only trivia was they weren't at Harvard for real. They were at UCLA, by the way. That's the little trivia they got for this movie. They were not at Harvard, they were at UCLA. And Gerald, he puts his bike on the rack, and Jamal and I Need Money, they take it. And I Need Money, he's running with it, and he just lets it go in the middle of the street. And it gets hit by a truck. He gets hit by the truck. And he's like crying, like, "Why?" He backs up, hits it again. And he's like, "Hey, buddy, do you know where such and such is?" He's like, "What?" And then he drives off, and again, hitting it again. So that bike is all messed up. Then what is going on? This is just a niggatry right here. A red car pulls up full of niggas. They all get out and start taking the car parts, putting them in there. He's like, "No, not my horn, not my wheels." Like, he's crying, and he's taking it, and they drive off. So like I said, after they take it, like Silas continues to try to get at Bart's girl, Lauren, played by Lark Voorhees. Now I'm gonna give her on the show. We usually give them a rating, and for this rating, we go by 5 out of 5. And I'm gonna give Lark Voorhees at this time. Now she's going through. She got, I think she got lupus now, so it's like, damn, like she's not like how she used to look. Disease messing her up right now. So I think out of 5, I will go with a solid 4.25. She looked good. She looked good in this. This was like prime Lark Voorhees too. This was like she wasn't on Saved by the Bell anymore. She didn't have that unibrow. She didn't have the skid mark of Buddha. She didn't have the unibrow anymore. She had Like I said, at this point, she was looking good. There's no movie I've seen her in two that she was in. Let me see real quick before we I didn't mean to bump the camera like that. Lark Voorhees. There's a movie she was in that I thought she also looked really good in. What movie was How to Be a Player? That's my movie. We will review that movie sometime soon. Be on the lookout for that. So what else happens? In their dorm, at this point, like we see the Asian dude, he's jacking off, and he's just bold with it. He's just going to town. The white dude, Jeffrey, he's just sitting on the couch, just like watching the shit. I'm like, this is wild. Like y'all some freaks for real. And here's the thing too, I noticed, because he was jacking off in his shirt. Where was he supposed to finish that? He's gonna finish in your shirt? That's gross. So so Solace and Jamal come in and they're like, bro, y'all need to get some pussy. And they're like, shit, they're like, we're fine. Like, no, we got this. And it's looking like yuck. So they're going to booty hunt, for lack of a better phrase. They just go walking around looking for females, and they see these two nerdy white girls in the house, like in the not the house, but their dorm. The windows open. They're watching Tay Diggs. And like, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful chocolate. What a beautiful chocolate man. So they see him, and they're freaking out. So then we don't even see how they got in the dorm. We just see them. They just pop in, and then they're in the couch, or not the couch, but they're in like their beds, and they talk spitting game, whatever. And they're like, yeah, we're virgins. And they're like, nah, ain't no way. And they're like, yes, we are. And they start messing with them. Then after they mess with them, this is the wild part. Like back in the day, it's funny. Now it's like, damn, this is wild. So they crack, and then I Need Money sells the sex tape of them messing around with them girls for $20 a pop on campus with a bottle of lotion. Because I never noticed that bottle of lotion. Because now I'm reviewing, for lack of a better verb. I'm reviewing the thing, and I'm seeing that they're literally selling porno tapes with bottles of lotion. Like that's a good sales. So Essence Atkins, she plays the vice president's daughter, Jamie, and y'all know from Haunted House. She's always playing the same character. She's always in Wayans movies for some reason. She's always dealing with a Wayans character. She's always in like these weird black comedies. I don't know. She's always in there. And the guy she playing the daughter for is the villain from Ferris Bueller. I forget his name. Let me find out his name real quick. I'm supposed to write that down. I did not do it. Jeffrey Jones. His name's Jeffrey Jones. And if you don't know, he was like, they said he was like a pedophile or something like that. Like he got in trouble for messing around with some kids, or at least allegedly, but the charges got dropped. So that's why his career is pretty much done. So and he did a lot of black movies too for some reason. Like he's one of a few. It's like him and the guy that played Mr. Huntley in the movie. What's his name? He's a comedian too. He died like a couple of years ago. It wasn't even that long ago. Fred Willard. Those two are always in black movies. Fred Willard's always in black movies. Jeffrey Jones is always in because he was in this movie. He was in what's the one with Big Boy when he was trying to play golf with them and they were doing him dirty the whole time. What is that movie called? Who's Your Caddy? I couldn't think what it was called. Who's Your Caddy? He was in House. I don't know if you consider House Girls a black movie, but I do. Sinbad's black, and it's a hood class. I feel like it's a hood classic, even though it's a kids movie. It's a classic movie. But back to the movie though. So Essence Atkins, she plays the vice president's daughter, Jamie, and Jamal shoots a shot. And she's like, I like bad boys. And he's like, shit. He convinced her. It was kind of woozy how he did it, but he got her. And if I'm gonna rate her, a 3 out of 5. She's okay. She's not bad and like that. She's okay. I don't know. Compared to the people that had in the movie, she's probably a dime. But if I had to pick, she's not somebody I think about. Like, oh, she's bad. She's okay. She's okay looking. So here's the wild thing too. At this point, they call in a fake crime. They're using the little stereotypical white voice. Like, yeah, there's a crime, and it's like Method Man's really trying to be comedic. He's trying his ass off. I'll give him that. He's trying. They call it a fake crime and have the campus to themselves. So they take down a statue at this point. So they take down a statue, and Dean Cain's like, I know they did it, but I can't prove it. And he asked the rowing coach, who the rowing coach was cool with Jamal because when Jamal first got to the team, Bart was trying to, like get on him, and Jamal started roasting him. And the coach was like, "Look, I think he called him Dick Buckets, and he's like, I like the Dick Buckets line. You keep doing that." And he's like, "And you'll have a spot on this team as long as you keep doing zingers like that." He's like, I can't talk to him like that because he's comes from a prestigious family, but if you can do that for me, that's fine. Just keep roasting him, and you stay on this team. You got to start a spot. He's like, bet, I'll keep doing it. So like I said, at this point, Dean Cain tells the coach, "Hey, I need you to help break Jamal and Jamie up." He's like, "I don't want them seeing each other." So we cut to Jamal and Jamie in bed together, and they like messing around, and they're being dicks. Like they got the wires, and they're like, "Ooh, we can't be seeing each other." And they're like still messing around and stuff. And for revenge, so they do that to fuck with them. And then for revenge, they put pigeons in Dean Cain's office and feed them like food, like bird food covered in X-Lax. And he's like, "You can't do that." He's like, "They'll." And as soon as he says they'll, they just blow up and feathers go everywhere. And they mess up they're kicking. You can tell they kick some stuff over because they jack that office up. And they get questioned by Dean Cain, but like I said, they can't prove it. So at this point, Silas and Jamal, they want to throw a party. And they're like, "You know what? We're going to throw a little party together." And they invite two prostitutes. And I'm going to tell you how wild this party is in just a moment. But they invited two prostitutes. They're like, "You going to pay us?" And they're like, we know somebody's going to pay y'all. And if they don't pay y'all, they know somebody's going to pay y'all. If they don't pay, they know somebody's going to. Like, they was just being ignorant. And they're like, "Okay, bet." So, in my opinion, the pimp shouldn't have came after them. I'm gonna say this because the pimp that comes after him, which is played by Mike Epps, and then I forget the other comedian's name, but he's funny too. I saw a stand up one time. He was like rollerblading on stage. He was in there doing this thing, but they didn't do anything wrong. They were getting them. They were going to get paid. They were going there. I guess they weren't on the block they were supposed to, but they were getting paid by the college because they're going to bring back the money. That's smart. Like, well, I don't know why they showed up trying to get them. I mean, I guess you had to do it for plot to have a villain in the movie, but it was like there was no reason. Like. So they get the party going, and while they get the party going, they give Dean Cain some weed brownies. They pretend it's like, I forget, he said his name, so I don't know who that was to him. I don't know. It was somebody important to him, some female that's important to him. And they, like I said, they slip him the weed brownies, and he eats them. He's like, "These are good." He's tearing these brownies up. I think he ate like a good 4 of them. Like on screen, he ate like 3 or 4 of them. He was tearing the brownies up. And tired of being like mistreated. So at the get together that they were throwing, Lauren leaves Bart there. She's like, "I'm gonna go somewhere." She's like, "I'm gonna go out." So she goes to Silas and Jamal's party. And like I said, Powder was the pimp. Because they call him Powder because he puts his hand out and the assistant pimp puts the powder on there and then just slap you. That's what he does. So they go looking for the hose and they find him at the party. And like I said, here's how wild the party is. So you gotta think about this party. They have Cypress Hill rapping on there. So Cypress Hill's rapping on there. Then you got a whole bunch of like just all kind of drug use, all kind of stuff going on at the same time. Prostitutes are there. Chuck Liddell is there fighting somebody like in the middle of all this. It was just ruckus going on. I think there was a goat too, if I remember correctly. There was a goat too. But it was too much going on that party. So and it ends up getting shut down because, like I said, it got rowdy real quick after Powder goes in there trying to get his girls, and they get into a fight because he was trying to. Because I guess the prostitutes was going to mess with Jeffrey and Tom, but like I said, he came in and started slapping. He was going to slap. I think he was going to slap Redman's character. He's going to slap Jamal, but he ducks it and then he slaps. Who did he slap? Okay, so I almost forgot. So during the party, Gerald he finds the weed plant that Ivory's put in, and he steals it after he gets a whiff of it. Like somehow it's like a cartoon. Like that whiff was literally like, they floating towards the thing. Like that's how pretty much he was, damn near. So he ends up He ends up going to it, steals the weed plant, and takes it home. And he low key becomes a crackhead, like during all this, like the weed got him so like ridiculous, like so he becomes like an addict, like he's ridiculous with it. Hair's are going crazy. He's like damn, he's doing everything but scratching himself. Like he's pretty much doing everything but scratching himself. Like it was ridiculous. And during the party, Gerald finds the so my fault, we can skip ahead a little bit. So Silas is still working on his weed truth serum. Or my fault, just a truth serum, my fault. And he's like, he's like trying to figure out what is gonna stop the nausea in it, because he's able to make the truth. It's working, but niggas are throwing up. So he's trying to get it working. And every time he does it, people are throwing up. But later he finds out that weed is it's a weed movie. So, weed's the solution to everything in these movies. So weed was the secret ingredient that he needed to cure the nausea. So they get all Fs on their midterms. Because here's the thing. This is another part that makes no sense. These niggas have been really like, they've been getting all A's the entire time. They've been cheating, because they had, what's his name? Ivory there. Ivory was there. He was telling them all the answers. Every test, he's telling them all the answers. And if he literally, he has the, I guess whoever made the test, he has their information. He also knows the people that, because he's dead. So he knows the people that they're doing stuff about, like the historic figures. He knows them too. So he's feeding them answers. It's the moment. It was like the night of, and literally it was like, okay, he smoked all that weed up, because now we get to a little compilation of them. He's working, trying to figure out his formula. Same time they're in there studying. So now they're actually doing the work. So I don't get why it's a weird lesson to be taught. Like, I don't know if it's like if there had to be a lesson in this movie. It's not really a lesson, because it's like the moment they stop cheating and they actually do stuff for themselves, they get straight Fs. And they were working. They was in there studying. Like, you see every little clip, they was in there studying, and it was just like, okay. So at this point, next, they get all Fs in their midterms. They're like, man, we gotta get our grades up, because if we don't, we're gonna get kicked out of here. So then they decide we're gonna dig up John Quincy Adams, the sixth president himself, and try to smoke him to stay in Harvard. And what is going on, Gerald? Like I said, Gerald smokes up this entire weed plant. Like, he's been going crazy. Like, so he smoked this whole thing up. And somehow, at this point, he's trying to possess him. I don't know if he's like possessing him or he's just repeating what he's saying. But he's like, hey, say this. So at this point, the crackhead dude, Gerald, he's talking to Silas and Jamal, and he's telling them like, hey, this is Ivory. I've been smoked up. There really ain't much left. So you guys got to study hard for this. You guys got to figure out a way to. Actually, no, he didn't even say study hard. You guys got to find somebody else to smoke. He's like, I disappeared. And they're like, damn. They're like, what are we gonna do? So Dean Cain tells them, he's like, I'm having a ball. Like, this next scene, Dean Cain tells him, I'm having a ball, and only students can be there. And in order to be a student, you have to pass the finals. And he's like, it's gonna feel so good for me to tell y'all ain't gonna be able to be here anymore, because y'all ain't gonna pass your finals, and I can be able to finally kick you guys out. Then randomly, next scene, Dean Cain finds out about the midterms and he kicks them out. I don't know. I don't know if this is the weird placement. I feel like that should have been, the ball thing should have happened earlier in the movie. They were trying to get all the shenanigans in there with all like the little stuff they were doing, just fucking around with people. They should have threw that in there, like, hey, if you guys don't make it to the finals, you guys are gonna get kicked out of school, and then you should have later on they failed the midterms. It's like, oh shit, what are they gonna do now? That kind of situation. They didn't do that. They just had it back to back where he was just like, you guys failed the finals, you're gonna get kicked out. Then they failed the midterms, and they're like, and he's like, oh yeah, I found out. No, and he's like, oh, I found out you guys failed your midterms. You guys are done. I'm kicking them out. He's all happy. He's like, yes, I finally kicked them out. So, which is weird. Like, this is the weird placement they did in the movie. So at this point, like, Silas realizes weed is the missing ingredient. I can't say that word. Ingredient in this truth serum, and he ends up drugging everyone at the party. That's crazy, right? They've just been drugging people. Like, they end up drugging. everyone at the party to prove it works, and it does. Everybody's telling like that's the thing about the truth serum too. It's never like, hey, it's like okay, it's never anything positive. It's always like in this movie, dude slept with his dog. One dude, I guess Jamal's looking at Silas's girl's ass like, yeah, that's the thing too. They just randomly threw in the fact that now they're together now. They just kind of randomly, like Silas and Lauren are now together now, which was like kind of random. I mean, I know he was shooting a shot, but he just kind of end up like, okay, they're together now. And they end up, like I said, so at this point, like the truth serum works, and they even see Benjamin Franklin. Like, he's like, man, you got to smoke that shit, pass that shit. So they didn't just being ignorant. Like, there's a whole bunch of ignorance going on. And Dean Cain he's fired now because Mr. Hurley says, I never liked you anyway. Like, they didn't, it wasn't like, I can see if he was like, oh, you did them dirty, you like did some weird tricks. It was kind of like Ferris Bueller, where the villain didn't do anything wrong. He's like, you didn't get your grades, so you get put on academic probation. Then after academic probation, you get kicked out of school. That's what happened. But movie got a movie. So literally, he he fires him because he never liked them. They bring not the kids, Method Man and Redman back into school. So Silas and Jamal. They said, y'all can come back. Y'all are straight. And Dean Cain gets pissed about this, pulls out an axe, and he's just swinging. And he hits ID Money's coat. And he's like, oh, this motherfucker done messed up my shit. He's like, back out, give me 3 feet. So he's in there pissed. And then he gets shocked by security, by Vice President of Security. And like I said, it's just like this ending, it just felt so rushed. Like, I get it's a comedy, but it was just like, this ending is kind of silly. Like, it's kind of dumb, for real. And like I said, they end up shocking him. I need money finally talks. He's like, I need money, you talk. He said, well, yes, Jamal, Lord, it's a gift. It's a gift from above. Make it float like a dove. Some. I don't know what he said right there. And he was like, Lord. Popcorn player. That's the thing too. I need money keeps going throughout the entire movie. At one point, he stole the weed from Silas when he was smoking because the weed was so strong. And he goes, takes it, then goes off. And like I said, it just kind of ends like that. Like, I guess it's a happy ending, and Jamal just says, hey, I knocked up your daughter. And he was like, and he's like, that's all it. And it just kind of just like, well, all right, and right off into the sunset, pretty much. Like, that was it. So, so I'll say this for the movie, because we got to do a couple things. When we do Hood Movie Review, we do a couple things like rate love interest and who was the real villain. Who's the real villain in the movie? The real villain in the movie was the main characters. They came in. Here's the thing: they came in immediately knocking over statues, bringing down statues. They left blown up birds on the I don't know what he was to the place. The dean, motherfucker, he's a dean. The dean to the school, like on his room, like on his office. They drugged him. Showed up to the pretty much trespassed that party. Like, showed up to the event, acting a fool. And like I said, they were drugging people, like selling sex tapes that, like, without the girls knowing. It's crazy. Like, they were the real villain. We're gonna be real. They were the real villain. Most redeemable character. Most redeemable character would probably be. There really wasn't anybody redeemable in this movie. Because we're gonna be real, like everybody was just so influenced by them. Because at one point, even the rowing coach, he was like, like, okay, thank you for roasting him. I've been wanting to say this, but I'm gonna get this off my chest for years, but I never could. He turned into he started dressing up like them. The Asian dude, Ton, was dressing up like them. The only person that really didn't dress up like them was the guy in the frat, Jeffrey. But I think the only redeemable character, there is no redeemable character in the movie. I'll probably say probably Lauren, because she was getting mistreated by Bart, and she was just like, I'm gonna move on from you. So I guess that, but there really wasn't any redeemable characters in the movie. Like it was just like, the one girl was like Bad Boy. So it was like everybody was kind of messed up with this movie. Like I know like, the movie's funny. Like I ain't gonna sit there and play like movie's not funny, but it's just like the end, like the I don't know. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Most gangster scene in the movie. I think most gangster in the movie is probably them slapping the shit out of Jeffrey when he said the N-word. And he was like, he's like, oh, I love niggas with attitude. He was like, slap the mess out of him. So I'll probably say that's what I probably say that probably most gangster scene. Yeah, I really can't think of anything. They really do think gangster for real. Like, yeah, I'll probably say that. Rating the movie. We're gonna rate the movie. I'd probably say it is. Like I said, it's one of the movies. It's not a good movie. I'm not gonna say that act like it's a good movie. It's not a good movie, but it's funny. So I'm gonna give it a 2.25. Is what I'm giving it a 2.25. And the next movie on the list is The Last Dragon. Yes, The Last Dragon. We'll be reviewing that next. And I am going to end it with this final quote. And that is Harvard, Lowell House, second floor, right on the couch.